This is it's a hard investigation.
Missy Bevers was killed at a church in Midlothian.
The officers found evidence of forced entry into the building indicating a possible burglary.
The person has a very distinct walk.
It was 4:18 in the morning on April 18th, 2016. Terry Bevers, everyone called her Missy, pulled into the parking lot of Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas. She was there to set up for her 5 a.m. fitness class. She was a certified trainer for Camp Gladiator, a popular outdoor boot camp program. That morning, because of rain, the class had been moved inside the church. She walked in alone. The church was dark. She had no reason to believe anything was wrong. At 5 a.m., her first student arrived for class. They found Missy Bevers on the floor, unresponsive, covered in blood. She had suffered puncture wounds to her head and her chest. She died shortly after paramedics arrived. She was 45 years old. She was a wife and a mother of 3 daughters. Her killer had been there before she arrived, and the surveillance cameras inside that church had recorded every step they took. Before we get to the footage, you need to know who Missy Bevers was, because she was not just a crime scene, she was a person. Terry Leanne Strickland was born on August 9, 1970 in Graham, Texas. She married Brandon Bevers in 1998, and the couple settled in Red Oak, Texas. They had 3 daughters together. For years, Missy worked as a special education teacher. She had a gift for connecting with children who needed extra care. Then she moved into fitness, not as a side hustle, but as a genuine calling. She built a loyal following through Camp Gladiator and ran early morning boot camps that her regulars kept coming back to week after week. She was also active on social media, posting class times, locations, encouragements. Her schedule was public. Her presence was warm and consistent. Anyone who followed her knew exactly where she would be and when. Her husband Brandon had worried about those early morning classes. He had told her to stay prepared, that being alone in the dark before dawn carried risks. He had no idea how right he was.
Missy was very kind, caring. You could tell she really cared.
She's not just a statistic.
When Midlothian police reviewed the church surveillance footage, they found something extraordinary. The killer had not slipped in quietly. They had not hidden. They had arrived at 3:50 a.m., nearly 30 minutes before Missy got there, and they had walked through that church like they owned it. The person on the footage was dressed head to toe in full tactical SWAT gear, a helmet, a heavy vest with the word police printed in white block letters on the front and back, gloves, heavy boots, and in their hand, a pry bar which they used to break glass and force open doors as they moved through the building. They moved slowly, methodically, room by room, not rushed, not panicked, calm, deliberate, like someone who had planned every single step in advance. Investigators noticed something else. The person appeared to know where the cameras were. Their movements suggested they were aware of the surveillance positions and moved accordingly. Police released the footage publicly. It went viral within hours. The FBI brought in a forensic podiatrist to analyze the suspect's gait, which had a distinctive rolling quality, feet pointed slightly outward. The podiatrist concluded the walk was caused by the weight of the heavy gear, not a permanent trait, not something you could match to a person. That ruled out one of the most promising identification angles investigators had. Height estimate: somewhere between 5'2" and 5'8". Skin tone: lighter. Right-handed based on movement. Gender: unknown, completely unknown. A search warrant later described the walk as having a feminine sway. Police walked that back. They said they genuinely could not determine gender from the footage. The killer walked out of that church and left Missy Bevers dying on the floor. And 10 years later, nobody knows who they are. The footage was not the only evidence. It was just the most visible. Around 2 a.m., roughly 2 hours before Missy arrived, surveillance cameras at a sporting goods store near the church picked up a vehicle in the parking lot. A silver or light-colored 2010 to 2012 Nissan Altima, or possibly an Infiniti G37. It circled slowly, its lights turned on and off. The driver parked briefly, then left. Police believe this was the killer, scoping out the location before going in. There was also a second vehicle, a dark SUV captured leaving the church parking lot around 4:30 a.m., just after the murder window. Police chose not to release that footage publicly. The owner of that vehicle has never been identified. And then there was the LinkedIn message. 3 days before she was killed, Missy received a message on LinkedIn from a man she did not know. She showed it to a friend. She described it as creepy and strange. Investigators found evidence that this person had been sending her flirtatious messages for weeks. Some of those messages had been deleted. They could not be recovered. Investigators tracked down a person connected to those messages. He told police the conversation had been innocent. Whether he was telling the truth and whether he was the same person who walked into that church 3 days later has never been established. Investigators looked hard at the people closest to Missy. Her husband, Brandon, was questioned. He had been on an annual fishing trip to Mississippi at the time of the murder. His alibi was confirmed. He told investigators he could not think of anyone who would want to hurt his wife. But a search warrant of Missy's phone records told a more complicated story. Evidence of financial and marital struggles, intimate relationships outside the marriage, messages between Missy and Brandon referencing extramarital affairs and on both sides. A marriage under genuine strain. Brandon was ruled out, his alibi held. His father, Randy, was also scrutinized. 4 days after the murder, Randy brought a shirt to a dry cleaner with what appeared to be blood on it. That shirt was handed over to police. Blood analysis confirmed it was not human blood. Randy had been in California on the morning of the murder. He was cleared. In the fall of 2019, detectives realized a tip had been phoned in multiple times over the years. The same name, from different sources. Bobby Wayne Henry, a former Lancaster police officer. He had worked as a tactical officer and admitted he still owned the riot gear from his time on the force. He walked with a limp. He drove a dark-colored SUV. He attended Mass at Creekside Church of Christ, the exact church where Missy was murdered. And records show he had worked Missy's funeral as a licensed security guard. He was the closest fit anyone had found. But there was a problem. Bobby Wayne Henry stood 6 feet 1 inch tall. The person on the surveillance footage was estimated between 5 feet 2 and 5 feet 8. A gap of at least 5 inches. His alibi was corroborated. He was cleared. No one has ever been charged. The killer was on camera for nearly 30 minutes, walking through a building under multiple surveillance angles. Their face was covered, but their body, their movements, their gear, their vehicle, their planning, all of it recorded in 2016 with modern forensic capability. And yet, whoever planned this murder planned it carefully. The tactical clothing covered every identifying feature: hair, face, body shape, even build. The helmet made height estimation unreliable. The heavy vest hid everything else. And even with the FBI, the Texas Rangers, and modern forensic image analysis, nobody has produced a name. The motive remains officially unknown. Police initially suggested Missy may have interrupted a burglary. That theory was quickly abandoned. Nothing was taken. And nobody plans a burglary in full SWAT gear. The current belief is that this was targeted. Someone who knew where Missy would be, when she would be alone, and how to disguise themselves completely. She had posted her class publicly. Her location was on social media, getting to that church before dawn and waiting for her required planning. But not extraordinary planning. Anyone who followed her knew exactly how to find her. In April 2026, the 10-year anniversary of Missy Bevers' murder passed. Without an arrest, the Midlothian Police Department pushed back hard on the word cold. They called it an active investigation. More than 100 new leads in the previous year alone, from sources across the United States and from other countries. Forensic technology advancements still being applied to the evidence, no one officially ruled out. The department also confirmed their continued partnership with the Texas Rangers, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Ellis County District Attorney's Office, and federal agencies. 3,000 tips over 10 years, no arrest. A memorial stands for Missy at Kimmel Park in Midlothian, a tree planted in her honor. Her 3 daughters have grown up without their mother. I keep coming back to the same image. 3:50 in the morning, a person in full tactical gear, moving calmly through an empty church, breaking glass, opening doors, checking rooms, not in a hurry, knowing that in less than 30 minutes a woman who taught fitness classes and had 3 daughters at home would walk through that door alone. Whoever did this planned it. They used Missy's openness, the way she shared her schedule, the way she showed up every week in the dark so her students could start their mornings right. They used that to find her, and then they waited. The surveillance footage has been watched millions of times, every detail analyzed by professionals and amateurs alike. 10 years, the FBI, the Texas Rangers, forensic podiatrists, every modern tool available. The person in that footage has not been identified. They are out there, somewhere. They watched that video go viral. They watched their own image spread across every news channel in America, and they said nothing. Missy's daughters are growing up without answers. Her community is still waiting, and somewhere someone knows exactly who put on that gear, drove to that church, and waited in the dark for a woman who never had a chance. If you know anything about the murder of Missy Bevers, the Midlothian Police Department tip line is still active. Case number 16MP015685. Crime Stoppers of Dallas at 214373 TIPS. The reward is $50,000. Terry Leanne Bevers died April 18, 2016, Midlothian, Texas. She deserved to come home to her girls.